Hi, welcome to Just Out of Curiosity, a podcast that talks about sex and sexuality from the lens of a sex-positive brown woman that has a fascination with alternative or non-conventional lifestyles. My name is Shelly D, and I am that sex-positive brown woman. Over the course of several episodes, I'm excited to dive into topics that titillate my interests and make me ask my guests questions just out of curiosity. And so my curiosity today leads to dating again. Let's flip it and reverse it now. I knew when I was done dating, but how do you know what you're looking for and what you want when you're navigating the dating pool and the quote unquote sea of lost souls on the apps? I wanted to talk more about what it was like from other perspectives. How do you deal with the toxic side of masculinity when you're dating other men? How does our upbringing and cultural differences play into how we see ourselves in relationships with other people? I still feel like we don't spend enough quality time reflecting on things and the actions we make. It's not easy looking after your own mental health firstly, but then somewhat managing to not negatively affect others' mental health, but also being on a personal mission of finding someone, whether it's for the next couple of hours, the night, or a lifetime. I sat down with my friend Shemar about dating from a gay black man's experience. Seems like the bar isn't that high on the other side either. Hey Shemar. I mean, the last time I saw you was Pride.
Yep.
Did you have a good time?
I had a fucking great time.
It was so nice to be in Pride for like the first time in 2 years.
Yeah, I was very excited to like break my best friend because I usually go to Pride by myself, to be honest.
Was that the first time she went?
No, I don't think so, but it was the first time she went with me.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, I'm really enjoying myself and like having the company that like appreciates everything. And she's also queer too.
Nice.
I was like, come on.
That's why we all get along so well.
I was like, come on.
I feel like the whole world needs to be a little bit more queer.
Right.
We'd all get along so much better. She's great. I liked her.
Love her.
And somehow you ended up marching in the parade.
Yeah, so one of my friends, she working for a company with her girlfriend, she was like, hey, like if you want to like come to the parade, like, you know, let me know. And I was like, yeah, of course. And let me tell you, when my friend got into the parade, she was the life of the party.
Her whole, like, the way that she dressed, everything. I didn't even realize the contacts, the ears. Like, she was full in outfit.
Oh, she does cosplay.
And it was
like,
great.
Just chef's kiss.
Were you looking for anyone during Pride? If anything could happen? How was that? How was the hookup scene for Pride right now?
I just want to let you know, come in closer.
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Oh. You sounded so nice when you said it, though.
A bitch got none, okay?
Is it just hard right now?
It's a drought.
Oh.
It's a drought. Honestly, if I were to describe my love life, it's like, picture this, like walking, you're in the Saharan desert, just walking, have no water, just been out there for days.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, an oasis. Wouldn't that be nice? Yes. And then you're running to it, and then you're just, you know, take a handful of water, just put it to your mouth, all slobbery and whatnot, only to realize that, why is this water making my mouth dry? Take a few blinks, and you're like, oh, I'm digesting sand. This is good for me. This is good for me. And you look around, there's no palm trees, it's just unforgiving sun. And that's what I would sum up my love life as right now.
Oh, you know, I know what that's like. I've been there. I definitely know what it's like to like feel like you're like, yeah, give me all that water. I'm so thirsty. And then you're like, why? Where did you come from? Who told you that that's what you should sell yourself as?
Slim pickings.
Oh.
Okay.
Which is weird because I would have assumed, or I would have thought that because of COVID and the fact that people may not have had the extravagant sex lives that they may have had over the last 2 years, that it would be like that now.
No, I still believe this till this day, even though I still use this app, Grindr, and even all the other dating apps as well. Like they say, oh yeah, you know, like, you know, be diverse and include like a very inclusive space, but you always have that hierarchy. And being a black queer man, I always feel and always will feel like I register lower than everyone else.
Yeah.
And the media doesn't help it either.
Yeah.
because
I don't think anything really helps that. The hierarchy of race,
the bar's in
especially with
hell.
dating, is not good.
The bar's in hell, as I've
Yeah.
been saying for years now.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm brown, and
Still in hell for you too.
yeah. Well, you never know that if when people are not messaging you back, and sometimes in the back of my head, I'm like, is it because I'm brown?
Yeah.
But I would like to not think that. But I think if we're going to talk about this hierarchy of race, I definitely think that brown people are on top of black people.
Yep.
And probably on top of East Asians to an extent. I have no idea. And as a woman, I feel like I get it. I get it better than men sometimes. But Grinder, how is dating for you?
So, not existent. At the moment right now, like I'm not currently looking for a relationship, just having fun here and there and just seeing how we're just going with the flow pretty much. But in the past, I have tried to pursue a relationship. I remember vividly, like when I was at Brock, it was like in my second, third year,
Where is Brock?
St. Catherine's,
Oh, St. Catherine's.
but we don't talk about that.
Okay.
Ugh. So this is when I was still like discovering my own sexuality and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like being RA in my second year really helped me navigate through being vulnerable, which was such an uncomfortable concept for me growing up. Because this is just like with being a man growing up all around, like having emotions is too feminine and you're not allowed to express your emotions. Like I'm having family members cap my emotions and be like, oh, you can't be talking about that. That's something a girl would talk about.
Oh.
And still working through my homophobia and femphobia to this day.
Yeah.
And the first relationship I had was with this guy, this DL guy. No one knew he was gay, maybe like one of his coworkers.
Okay.
But it was just me and him. And we just talked and made out, but it was like really nice and endearing to like wake up to his text messages and saying, do you want to meet up, or the usual spot, or yeah, it was nice. But I think when I started to tell my friends about it, like my close friend Nikki about it, and I was like, oh yeah, like he's like this is this. I remember like meeting up with him for this like fourth and last time. And I was like, yeah, I told my friend about you a little bit. Again, I know you're like DL, so I wouldn't tell her like what you look like her. But, I was just telling her that you're a good guy and whatever. And we're in the drive-thru just getting like Timmy's and whatnot, just talking. He's like, yeah, I don't think we can do this anymore. I was like, what? He's like, I can't do this anymore just because like you told someone and like like you told someone and it was supposed to be between me and you and I'm not really comfortable with that. And I was like, well, she's not gonna run around and tell like the whole neighborhood.
Yeah.
But he was like, nah, that just doesn't fly by with me. So
How old are you?
I was a good 19.
Oh, such a cute baby.
Baby gay.
I remember, I feel like when I was younger and dating, there was like that thrill of a mysterious secret encounter. And there were times where I was just like, I don't want anyone to know. And the minute that someone knew, it was just like, oh, well, this has lost the thrill of it all.
Right. And I think the reason why we feel like this is because I think from our background where it's like everything is our parents want us to tell them everything. They want to know our business, who we're dating and whatnot. I'm just like, chill. Let me just see who I'm seeing and not tell you. You know?
And also like family, because I lived with my parents and you have this very like closeness with them, but
Too close.
And I'm pretty sure with you don't want to talk about your sex life. You're never going to talk about it. And you were closeted for a while for a long time.
Yeah.
So you can't talk about your sex life. So that is just like that one part that's just yours.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been that guy before with someone else, but you don't really think about how the other person feels when you decide to be like, no, I'm done now. I don't like this. I'm turned off. And it's just like, that's really not fair.
I said, this is madness.
Yeah.
I told my friend, she was like, oh, are you okay? And I'm like, guys suck. And she's like, welcome to the club.
Yeah. And this is why girls and gays get along so well.
Yeah. I'm just like, girl, pull up. Just pull up a chair. Let's watch Grey's Anatomy or like RuPaul or something.
Yeah.
Let's go make fun of someone on some type of TV show. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But that was like start of my relationships or start of dating.
Yeah.
Like keep in mind, like I've not been in a relationship ever really. Like not a long-term relationship, nothing past 3 months, and my last relationship was like high school with a woman.
With a woman. How was that?
She turned out to be gay after. I was like, yes,
Perfect. More join the club.
she's a lesbian, a beautiful lesbian.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was like, yeah, like I'm dating. It was one of our mutual friends. I was like, yeah, are you serious? She's like, yeah. And I was like, good for you, man. Fuck it up. But her girlfriend at the time, her ex-boyfriend, didn't take too well to that. He's also black as well. Everybody in this,
Okay.
yeah, everybody involved was Jamaican or like first generation Canadian Jamaican.
Right. Which is just an extra
Caribbean.
layer of stuff.
I'm tired of these onion
All
layers.
ready to the convolute. Oh, yes. The onion
tired.
layers. Oh, that's the POC club.
Why must the suffering continue?
We do it to ourselves as well.
I feel like it's also a lack of education too. But
Yeah, actually, we are not doing it to ourselves. We're trying to not do that to ourselves.
yeah, like realizing the pattern, taking a step back, and
Yeah.
re-educating ourselves.
Ugh, the unlearning is hard.
Oh yeah, and then my second time I like was serious with like a guy was like I think like, ugh, I think probably quarantine, like maybe 2020, summer 2020,
Okay.
and it was one of my close friends, like mutual friend, and we've been knowing about each other, but like we haven't really talked like one on one, really. You know, I saw him on the app. I was like, okay, let me just pull up skirt, and you know, found myself in his DMs, and we started talking a little bit more, and then talking turned into meeting for Starbucks. Starting to feel a type of way. The second date, I was like, let me take you out. You know, let me surprise you. He's like, where are we going? I was like, I don't know. It could be jumping off a cliff, or we could be going on parasailing. I don't know.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, figure it out. He's like, what should I wear? I was like, birthday suit? Come on. Get into it. I was like, just wear something nice, you know, comfy.
Yeah.
So I picked him up, and I pretty much took him like Lakeshore, Mississauga. Really nice private. And we just had a picnic and watched the sunset.
Oh, that is so sweet.
I pulled up a little cooler, brought some drinks, some
Oh,
snacks. Yeah, I went all out. I said, I'm hubby material.
Yeah.
Let it be known.
Say it one more time into the microphone.
Let it be known, bitches. But, you know, conversation went well. Like, we were just talking, vibing. I was like, asking him how his day went. He's like, you know, like, telling me everything. And he was just saying, like, oh, like, you really thought about this? I was like, yeah. Like, why wouldn't I?
This
He's
is a
like,
second date, right?
second date went well. Ended up with, you know, me kissing him and being on top of him for a little bit. Sunset. I said, I mean, the girls are classy, but the girls can get nasty, too.
Oh, yes, they do. Why not?
Tell me how this man didn't text me for 3 weeks.
Did he tell you why?
Ghosted. He told me probably a year after.
Yeah. A year. Oh, yeah, I gotta love it. Gotta love when they all come up from the woodwork. Yup.
Well, at least 6 months after. I was like, oh, okay, whatever. He was just pretty much saying, like, I don't know how to, like, say this, but, like, I apologize if I didn't give you my all. Like, my ex-boyfriend came into the picture and said, like, hey, you know, let's try to work things out. Surprise, surprise, it didn't. I could have told you that, but not throwing shade. But he tried, you know, like when you're with someone like for so long, like I guess you want to get back to it and just try to work on what went wrong. And I understand that. So I was like, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna harp on you for that because I'm
Yeah.
like, it took a lot for you to say
At
that.
the very least, though, he could have just messaged you and be like, "Hey, listen, something's come up," and this is my big beef with people because this
A
is a
beef
very
ting.
normal thing that
A beef
happens.
ting this, yes.
We're just like, if you're gonna ghost or if you just need your space, just be like, "Hey, I just need a time." I appreciate everything that you did, especially because you just went all out on your picnic day. Like that's super romantic. It doesn't happen all the time. The least that could have happened was that you be like, listen, something's come up with me personally, and I just need a break.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. Yeah. Even when I started meeting Jesse, I was still talking to some people. I didn't have to message them. I didn't.
Yeah.
But I felt like it was just the nice thing to do because I know what that feels like. And I actually
Yeah.
messaged them all. I'm like, hey, listen, I met someone, and I'm like, I think I want to. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
but I'm
something
gonna
that we
move.
call-
I'm gonna move into this direction because like this is great. But I never did that before either.
Yeah, something what we call home trading, giving courtesy and respect to
Yeah,
those.
I seriously think that we need to teach dating etiquette 101. It should be
Home
part of
trading
school.
101 dating.
You're teaching stocks now. You're teaching finance. Teach about how to treat people with respect. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just like he apologized, and I was like, I forgive you. I'm not gonna lie. I thought like I was doing too much because again, I've never been in like a relationship.
Yeah.
And again, this wasn't a relationship. It was just me getting to know him a little bit more
Yeah.
and trying to see where he's at. The whole thing was prefaced in the first date. We're just like, let's see where this goes.
Yeah.
Not saying anything like, not doing anything too serious, but also like trying to get to know each other a little bit more. Dating, it's like, how should I describe it? The men aren't available. They're either in a relationship or like emotionally unavailable, like hung up on their ex-boyfriend or their best friend that's straight, that's giving them all the attention, and like I'm still working through this till this day because like I remember when I first started out, like when I first came out, I was like, my preferences were like, I'd be like, I'm gonna go with a guy that's a guy, like no questions about it. If I want to go with a girl, I would go out with a girl. See, I didn't even catch my femphobia when I was like younger. I was like, what am I actually saying? Because like now that I'm growing up and, me telling you about my DL men or men that would just ghost me, I'm just like, why the fuck would I want that? Why am I aspiring to this like hyper masculine aspect of life and not receiving the love, the communication that I like need and deserve?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I need a man, that's in touch with their feminine side more.
Yeah.
And not so hyper masculine that you can't share just regular shit with me. Like that's just like I'm tired. I'm tired of playing these games. Like
Agreed.
I need someone secure in their masculinity and their femininity too, but I also need to do that work on myself too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I straight dating, I get to see one side of men, and then with gay dating, it's two men. It's like I think it's just a lot of, I mean, I compare dating to lost souls, but like men also just have never
You're
been
not wrong.
taught. I definitely feel that. But men have definitely been taught not to like, and I don't think they've been taught. They just operate the world without thinking about the repercussions of some of the things.
Nope.
And and it's just that honesty and sincerity and respect. I think it's hard to do when the world is at your feet with Grindr. And I mean Grindr, you even have like,
Don't say feet now, because some of those girls like that feet fetish. I'm not into that personally, not yet.
No,
like, if
no,
you ever see
not
my
yet.
toes,
You wait until
if
you get
see
your
my
toes sucked. Shemar, let me tell you,
I look
when
like
you
Darby,
get your toes
okay?
sucked, no. When you get
From
your
Lord
toes
of the
sucked and you
Rings.
see someone staring at you with their toes in your mouth, it is so hot.
I'm not there yet, baby.
You're not. You'll get
not
there.
on my free journey.
Don't worry,
not
Shemar.
yet.
I have some years on you. You'll get there.
Hey,
It took me a while to get there, but I got there.
I can't wait. Can't wait. Do you notice there's like a trend when it comes to gay relationships? Mostly like TV shows. Mm-hmm. When I see like things broadcasted on TV, it feels like it's a marketing only one thing. Do you notice that there's it's usually when it comes to a gay like couple, it's usually a guy that's a POC, and then another guy that's just white, and the guy that's white is usually hyper masculine versus the other guy.
Oh.
Have you noticed that?
I have now. Yes. You know what it also is? It feels like they're covering off all of their diversity and inclusion buckets by having like the interracial gay couple. So you got gayness, you got interracial. Cool. We just like we got it all there. But yeah, there is a very stereotypical white guy. And I think sometimes maybe there a stereotypical the other partner. I don't know. I'm thinking of like How to Get Away with Murder. You had the white guy and you had the Asian guy. Did you ever watch How to Get Away with Murder?
Yeah,
those sex scenes were real hot.
Right.
But yeah. There was that guy, and then there was the Asian guy, Connor and someone. It definitely was Connor. But either way, I think in general, if you want to even step outside of that, even with straight couples, the white person is almost always the hyper or the more dominant person, and then the POC person is usually more subservient or more docile.
Yeah.
In general,
that's how it's broadcasted. Not that it media reflects true life. Not all the time.
Yeah.
Only a portion of it.
But it's, you know what, it's also like you have your script, and this is only what I know from commercials. So I worked in commercials for a hot second, and you'd have a script, and you can imagine all the things that you want from a script, and then when you go for casting, then it's just like, it's very dependent on who that director wants for that role. So like when I was working in commercials, it was about 8 years ago now, and the director that wanted to cast diverse people back in 8 years ago. Commercials were all white. There were no POC people, like very little. And I remember just the director came back and he was so pissed off because he was just like, I just wanted to hire all these like diverse people, and then the advertising agency did not want it. And he was just so angry. So it's like you have a concept and an idea, but when it goes into casting, then it can be completely changed based on that. So it's like the intentions, you never know where the intentions truly started
before they start.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's not that I don't like it, it's just that it's broadcasted too many times to make me feel like, oh, does this person validate me like when I'm dating?
You don't see yourself or anything to do with yourself.
I don't have preferences per se. Like, my preferences aren't requirements. They're not synonymous to each other. Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you have to be like black or white, or I don't do that. I don't care. But like, I prefer someone that is around my background, whether you're African or like Caribbean or even South of like American too.
Is there a reason why?
I feel like it's easier when it comes to clashing cultures.
Oh yeah, for sure that. Yes.
And knowing just certain things it's just easier to communicate with your own. And like, as nice as it is, that's just a preference. Like, I really couldn't care less who like comes across me. Like, they don't have to come neatly packaged as to what I like them to be.
Yeah.
Just be you, be authentic, and if we vibe, then it's perfect. Whether you're white, black, or whatever like race you pertain to be, or nationality or ethnicity, like, it doesn't really matter to me.
Do you find on the opposite end that there's a fetishization of you being black?
Girl.
Do you get like yeah?
It's like, oh yeah, like, give me that big black schlong. And I was like, can you do something else?
Yeah.
Like,
do you get like the racehorse? You're gonna have sex with me all night long, like the marathon runner. Do you get like is that still?
Funny enough, like when I was like 19, 20,
Yeah.
I was kind of like switched. And also, you probably know this, but Grindr had a filter as to what race you'd prefer.
Yes. Yeah.
Not not good
Was
advertising.
that was back in the day though, right?
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
They don't do it.
I don't think they're allowed to.
I don't think so. I'd have to subscribe to Grinder Plus to figure that out, but I'm not doing that. Um, but like back in the day, it was just like, but like actually, it still happens. Like they could put in their bio and say, you know, no femmes, no fats, or they don't say it. They might not directly say it. They'll say, you know, Indian plus 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 plus, white plus plus plus, or like Asian plus plus plus, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, where the niggas at?
Yeah.
Where am I at? So it's like even like looking at the bio preemptively, you're already excluding me from these conversations or me from approaching you.
Yeah.
And
That's hard.
it's become very toxic. Well, not become, it still is. Continuing snowball effect. It's become this like, okay, you need to come as I need you to come as. So having people approach me, especially on Grindr, and saying like, "Oh, like you know, you want to do this, 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 and this." I'm like, "Why do you automatically think I'm a freak?" I mean, I might be, but like, we don't but like, hey, like, what if I just wanted to like have a coffee and talk? You know?
Yeah.
It's just like we're going straight to sex. So I'm like, oh, okay, a nice aspect. Okay, that's nice. But can we get coffee or just talk about like life? I don't know.
Yeah. It's I guess there's the hookups, and then there's the people that also just want to talk.
Yeah.
That
But even that, I'm just like, people are such flops when it comes to dating too. It's like, oh, like I tried to like have a date with this guy, and he's like, oh, I'm busy with school and whatever. I was like, okay, cool, let me know. And then I tried to make another plan to like meet him up and, you know, have like coffee or whatever. He's like, yeah, I can't. Like last minute, like, well, 12 hours before, he was like, yeah, sorry, I can't make it because, you know, I have something going on with school or whatever. And I was like, I understand, but this is your second time now. So now you need to make the plans. Like, you need to come to me to ask, like, okay, like, what day works best for you?
Yeah, and you probably won't get it.
No, he took no initiative. And I was like, okay, bye. So, yeah, dating is just, the bar is in hell.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Are there any other
phrase.
venues? Are there any other venues outside of Grindr?
Well,
Would you use like?
I'm doing Hinge.
Does that?
Rhymes with cringe. The dating app that's meant to be deleted. No shade to it because it is better in terms of like getting to know to know your person a little bit better. You know, having the questions prompt and the pictures or whatever, but like with everything and all, like it all feels too scripted, too perfectly put. I'm just like, show me what you really like.
I know.
Are you crazy? Let me know. Because if my crazy matches your crazy, we're gonna have a fucking ball.
Yeah.
I'm talking Freddy versus Jason. No, okay,
Oof.
maybe that's
Oh, can you take that?
XXX.
Oh, that would be a great video.
It has already happened. Not with me.
Oh.
Didn't I tell you? Saharan Desert. Yeah, but just getting back to like how media pretty much broadcasts how gay relationships are. I was like, I don't really see myself there, but also I need to see more like queer POC relationships. Like I want to see like can we get like a Filipinos with some like black people?
Yes.
Can we get some natives with like someone from South America?
Yeah.
Like,
Just more.
More.
I really wish that, like you had a script, and then when you cast all those roles, it's the complete, like, it's the antithesis of what you would expect for that person. So like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man or woman. It could be trans. It could be a police officer that's a woman that's gay. It could, and then their kids could be adopted and could be like indigenous or Filipino or whatever. And then, like you just kind of like mix it up completely.
Mix and match, man.
Yeah. And then the races, like, open up the races to everyone. And then you can have like, it would feel very much like Toronto, but like
seriously.
But you would see more of that, and then it can become more normal when you see it in real life. Because I'll still say like, John and Anthony, maybe not recently, but in the last couple of years, sometimes they'll be holding hands in Toronto and someone will say something to them. And it's just weird. Like, that should be normal now. But like, I think because there's still a lot of it's when Bridgerton came out and it was like a Sri Lankan Tamil person that was the lead role. Everyone's like, oh my God, that's amazing. But we're in 2022. Like, it's weird. Why is that weird? Like, why is you doing this for the first time? That it would be nicer if all these shows that came out just it focused more on diversity. And then also when it came to gay, queer relationships or just queer people in general, how they're depicted. Yeah. Maybe have more realistic conversations that happen between these two people. But the more like queer, when I watched Turning Red, I don't know, did you ever watch Turning Red?
Turning Red on Disney?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the lumberjack guy. Yeah. He's like, his partner's like, I just wish you'd just tell your mom. He's like, yeah, I'll tell her. And then he turns into a dog.
But the thing that I really liked about Turning Red was that it was all like, the main key components of that movie making were done by women. And the storytelling was different. The animations were different. But even like the relations that the kids had with their mother, how they portrayed women, the little girls, like it was just more realistic and so different.
The mom was like, I just wish you would just open up and tell me things. I was like, girl, sit down.
And it was also the first time I actually could relate to the family on TV.
Yeah.
Because that was my mom. She's a great mother, but she's just so like, sometimes she can just be cold. Not cold, she just doesn't, she's not good with her emotions. So she wasn't good with her emotions back then. And I'm like, now I understand. Like, I feel like this is speaking to me, and I'm watching it as a 38-year-old, being like, I love this. But yeah, to your point, like, it's just the representation on TV it's lacking in some ways.
Yeah. And oh gosh, like when we talk about like gay characters, like the coming of age gay characters coming out, it's traumatic. Like, have you ever watched Empire? Jesse Small's character plays a gay man, but like growing up, like there's one scene where he's coming outside, or he's in the living room with all the other family members. Yeah. And he's like in heels, like, you know, walking around or whatever. And you know what his dad does?
Is that throw him in the garbage? No, there was another. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was the garbage can?
He picked him up and threw him out, and Cookie ran for him and tried to fight this guy and took her kid out of the garbage. He was like, you don't touch my baby like that. Like, I'm like, this is traumatic, but like, you know, like, I'm going to tell you, like, my family has never done that to any of their kids from what I saw when I was growing up, but we're hurt just as bad.
Yes.
My grandma and my grandparents that, like, raised me, and, you know, they've gone and passed, but, like, I remember growing up and still figuring that out, my sexuality, and always thinking in the back of my head, I'm the other. Like, I'm so different from everyone. I remember one time I was like talking to my grandma, and she was like, you know, I'll always love you and whatnot, but if you come back home and you're either one of these two things, don't call me grandma no more. And she said, gay or police officer. I said, okay, one out of the two. So, okay. It was just, And when my grandpa passed, because my grandpa was taking care of my grandma for the longest time. My grandma was a paraplegic.
Okay.
She couldn't walk.
Okay. I think that's para.
Para? Yeah. So my grandpa would pretty much do everything, cook for her, clean, do everything. And that was like my ideal, growing up, that was my role model. Not that I was aware of it until he died.
Right.
He did everything for her. So when he passed, like, I just felt like she was going to feel lonely, because I also feel lonely when I'm with family. And I wouldn't wish that on anyone else. So I would go over, buy her some flowers, rub her head, hold her hand, and talk to her.
Yeah.
And she would be like, Shemar, I miss you, you know. Every time you leave, just I want you, you know? And I was just like, oh, grandma. Like, I try my best, and, you know, sometimes it hurts to, when I think about going over, it did hurt every now and then to kind of keep that part away from me, because she would have just disowned me on the spot.
Did you ever come out to her?
No. It's hard in a Jamaican family where you like in an instant, your family members can turn on you,
Yeah.
which is questionable because, at the core of Christianity, their teaching is unconditional love,
Oh, yeah,
and it
that's the
seems very
thing.
conditional. It's not come as you are, or it's come as we want you to come, as our offspring, as our
Yeah.
kids, our grandkids. And when you get set into these boxes and in these roles, you really stifle yourself and start to hate yourself. Like growing up in the church, I was like, I feel like I don't belong because I'm just like, Adam and Eve, Adam and Steve, or, getting to those verses where like they talk about man shall not mate with man, and being in a hyper masculine environment too, where
Yeah.
femininity was frowned upon. It really shaped me and like made me go into the closet, made me have all these like, among other things, like added on to the mental health issues that I had. And it didn't make me feel open with my family until this day. Like I trying to be open with them, but I'm just like, you
It's hard.
haven't. Yeah, but I'm getting to this point in my life, and maybe because I'm approaching 30, where I'm just like, I don't give a fuck no more.
Love that for you.
Coming out, I feel like you need to earn your spot. Like, I don't need, why do I need to come out to you? Because hearing all the responses I've had, like as a kid or growing up and trying to figure out my own thing, haven't been the greatest. I can only say like two, three, a few people have made me feel welcomed without like making it about themselves. It's dramatic, and I'm just like, it's like, I don't want to like feel like what you're gonna say is gonna affect me for the rest of my life. I just want to feel more secure, but also like, you need to make that safe space for me,
Yeah.
and you've never made that safe space for me to talk. Because like anytime I talk in my family and I say like, hey, like I feel like I'm annoyed, or you piss me off because so and so, their immediate response is, you're being too sensitive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just like, this is why I don't share things with you. And then you ask me why, like, I felt this way when I was like, years ago when I was feeling suicidal. It's just like, well, you never gave me that safe space to share. So it's like, why the hell would I come out and share anything with
Yeah,
you?
you're just gonna tell me I'm sensitive.
Yeah, right? Or
Yeah.
man up, or you should pray about it. It works for some people, but I
But
need
also like manning up, like what does that even mean?
suppress it. Just shove it back there. Um, what I mean when I say like you need to earn your spot is just like, again, like you need to make that safe space for me to talk about what I need to talk about. Make me feel comfortable in my own vulnerability, because I still feel uncomfortable talking about certain things with
Yeah.
family members. I'm just like, I don't know if they're gonna say something like, out the side of their head talking about, maybe if he had his father growing up with him, he wouldn't turn out this way. We're not doing that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
'Cause, like,
I
that's
think
not-
people forget the words that they use mean something to
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just like, yeah, I can say whatever I want, but and it could be exactly how I mean it. Like maybe if you did have like different role models growing up, you might be a little bit different. But then it makes you feel something so different, and it can come off so negative. Like I was reading something, or no, there was I can't remember the book. I think it was this soccer player, the American soccer player. You know, the one that like she's gay and she's in a relationship. I think it's
Yeah.
that. Either way, someone wrote a book and they were like coming out to their family, and I think the one thing that they were hoping that their family wouldn't say was, "Oh, I'd still love you even if you were gay."
That's tolerance.
And that is also real. Like it's just, yeah, sure, you're trying to accept it yourself, but that is also saying your love for a gay person is conditional.
Right? They're not
Like
catching
I loved
themselves
you
saying
more.
that.
I loved you more when I thought you were straight, but I guess now that you're gay, I still love you. Like it's just like I'll love you regardless, or I'll still love you. Like it's those things that we think are okay to say that really when you sit down and think about it and how the other person interprets what you say,
Yeah.
it comes off completely different and so wrong.
Trust me. And this also like homophobic lines, like getting there, but also that's also rooted in like femphobia too. Like as we've been saying throughout this whole thing, is like being vulnerable, being emotional is weakness.
Yeah.
And
Especially when it comes to like POCs.
POCs, like that's fucking us up from left, right, and
Yeah,
center.
big time.
So this is from everydayfeminism.com. They wrote this piece. The title is 6 Ways Femphobia is Harming the LGBTQIA plus community. So it says here, like, 6 ways. Like, the first thing is, like, it affects gay men, like, by, like, internally and externally, like, expressing their femphobia. And as we were saying, like, emotions. I don't know that girl.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know
of.
that girl for a long time, too.
And also, second thing, femphobia confines lesbians, which I found interesting. I'll read it to you. Both gay men and women are encouraged to be more masculine, but for very different reasons. In lesbian circles, femme invisibility can be a byproduct of femphobia. There can be a pressure to butch it up, to establish one's queer credentials. Sometimes a femme gender expression is used to question of the validity of a lesbian's expressed sexual orientation, or to claim that their orientation is just a phase. And then to that same effect, you can also say that femphobia is also a part of bisexual erasure too.
Yeah. Big time.
I feel like it affects I don't want to say affects the women more than men, because the men also get that too. When, if I've heard from many bisexual men that, they've said, okay, I'm dating this girl, or they start dating them and they say, hey, I'm bi, and they're like, okay, but you have to choose. And it just feels
Oh, I can see that. There was did you ever watch, there was a show on Netflix. I think it was a Love is Blind in the first season, where the guy was bi, but I think he was holding it, and he had baggage. He was holding it, and I think because of how he was treated from before. And so when he finally met this woman, and then they go meet up, he told her that she was bi, or he told her that he was bi, and the girl was just like, she was just questioning it. Like, tell me more. Why didn't you tell me this before? I think that was what the issue. She's like, why didn't you tell me this before? Why are you telling me this now? And he interpreted it to be like, oh, you're telling me that if I told you before, you wouldn't have picked me?
Yeah.
And they got into this real big fight. But it was more, when I looked at it, it felt like it was more deep set from his insecurity. But it is very interesting. We don't talk about bisexuals enough.
One of my family relatives, like, I came out to them, and they're like, well, I came out as bi, and not good, because I'm like, I kind of feel bad about it, like, later down the road, because I'm like, bi-erasure is a thing, and like, when people say, like, I'm bi first and then they switch to gay, it's like, oh, it's just a phase.
Yeah.
It was just me, like, trying to, like, kind of walk them through it.
But it's like a baby steps a little
bit.
Baby
steps.
It's hard. I wouldn't necessarily call that bi-erasure, because I can understand why it gets seen that way. But when it's hard to I think the first step is for it not to be such a big thing to come out. When it's there's so much pressure on you to come out, the easiest way to do that is by kind of like, oh, I'm bisexual.
Yeah. I feel like it's a cop-out, but I still feel bad, because at the same time, I'm like, it gives those who are bi feeling like it makes them doubt, like, or it makes others doubt around them that they are bi, because if I were to say, like, hey, I'm bi, and then later down the road say I'm gay, and then
you
they
picked
have
a side finally. I mean, like, that's how it would
that's
appear.
their mentality. Yeah. And then they approach some bi people, they're gonna be like, oh, so you're still, like, choosing.
Yeah, you're questioning what you're doing right
questioning.
now.
You're at an in-between.
Yeah, you let me know when you become straight or gay after.
Horrible. Yeah. I don't really agree with, like, when it comes to coming out, I don't really agree with those who have, like, just made it about them, like, very main character energy, like, are you gay, or like, I know, or like, even saying, like, or just like backhanded responses, or just like, oh, I couldn't see that for you. Like,
Wow. See, this is why I hate coming out. I wish it could just be a thing. Like,
It's
who you have sex with
traumatizing.
is who you have sex with. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't have to come out because of all these other responses to just make it so worse.
But what I will say is, you will find those gems around, like, in your life that will raise you up and make you feel valid and seen. So my best friend Nikki, we were RAs at Brock. I remember like my first thing I said to her, I was like, "You kind of remind me of my sister, my older sister, but less mean." And she's like, "Oh god." She's also Jamaican too, so I was just like, she got it and
Yeah.
whatnot. She was telling me things in confidence about her love life, and I was telling her a little bit my love life, and it just came to me. I was like, I think I'm I think I'm gay. And she's like, all right. And I was like, that's it? And she was like, yeah, that's it. I was like, okay. I'm not.
Well, that was refreshing.
Right? She really made me feel like whenever I'm with her, I feel like I'm at home, you know?
Oh,
I
that's nice.
feel like I belong and I feel like my feelings are valid. And she really made me feel good about being me. A few years later, she told me, she was like, I was just like so glad that you said something because it just felt like a weight off your shoulders. Like you looked like you could breathe. You were just
Oh.
like, yes. I was like, all right.
I didn't like thinking about it. Just the fact that she, from her perspective, a weight had been lifted off your shoulders. That weight and that pressure that is put on gay people, anyone that's different, that trauma, I can't even imagine what that feels like. It's like you're living a double life.
Not the cool like double life, you know?
Yeah, not a cool double life.
Like, can a bitch be Sailor Moon for one day? Like, yes, we know it's her, but like, can we not fantasize? You know?
Yeah.
Can I not be a spy?
And then I can't imagine what that does to a kid growing up, what that does to teenagers.
Yeah, it puts you at odds with your parents for sure because like your parents sometimes they don't catch themselves doing it. They will say, "Oh, you have to man up and like
Yeah.
stop being a little girl." The kids remember this,
Well, that too.
and
And then on
then
top of that, sorry, I forgot about the fact of like the feminine, that being effeminate. That's also,
no.
yeah.
So like now down the road when I'm having my own like mental health issues and going through my own stuff and I'm not sharing, I have family members coming to my sister because out of all of them, I share with her the most. They're like, how come he doesn't share anything with me anymore or whatever? She's like, well, he's doing his own thing or whatever. But at the same time, I'm just like, why are you questioning why I'm not sharing anything with you when you could have asked, what did I do to him growing up?
Yeah.
Was there something in my actions that made him feel unsafe? They're never really looking, or they're not really asking themselves these questions. They're always putting it on the kids.
Yeah.
Like, for example, this, like, not related to being gay, but like my dad, I don't really talk to my dad as much or at all. We don't have the greatest relationship to the point where I'm like, I don't want a relationship with him at all. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. I have like my grandma at the time like forcing me to call him. I'm like, no, I don't want to call him. Oh, you need to like talk to your father. You need to talk to your father. I'm like, but I'm a kid. And also speak to your age mate, man. I'm not like, why does this always fall on the kid to like figure out like their relationship?
Yeah, the parent is acting like the bigger child, but making the child the parent.
I was just like, there's too much responsibility going on right now for me. Like, why do I have to come to you about my problems when you could have came to me and said, hey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, did I do something to you? It's always like, oh, you need to come to me. I'm your dad. No.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's just annoying because it's like, well, if you're keeping that mentality, I don't want to come to you at all. I'll go to someone else that actually appreciates me when I tell them things instead of me running after you. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, but it's a very big pride thing, I find. The fact
Pride
that
is
you
killing our
have to
people.
like chalk it up and you have to go talk to your dad now. But it takes two people to have a relationship of sorts.
I agree.
And so, yeah, you are being more of the adult, but you are the child in that situation.
Yeah. And it's like, speak to your father, like, that's your father, that's your father. I'm like, you don't think I know that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm fully aware of the position I'm in.
Yeah.
You need to, like, respect my space and tell him what he needs to hear.
Yeah.
Because you're bystanders at best.
Yeah, exactly. And as children, we love our parents and we
Mm-hmm.
always want our parents' approval
Yeah.
for whatever reason. They're not perfect beings, but that's the
We learned that
problem.
later down the road.
Yeah, yeah. I learned as like, and I when I watch TV and you see the storylines and the conflicts and stuff like that, and me now as an adult, I realize my parents are not perfect people. They are flawed just like everyone else. They just have years of wisdom. I now, like in my 30s, I have wisdom. Like you now, at getting into your 30s, you're like, fuck this shit. I want to be whoever I want to be. You start
love
learning.
it.
Yeah, you learn that you don't need those insecurities and all that stuff. That's what they have, but they are just a product of the way that they were raised.
Yeah. And like, again, my grandparents were not queer friendly. But I also understand where they're coming from. But understanding isn't synonymous to acceptable behavior.
Yeah, I find it really interesting that our parents and that generation and the generations above that live in this world where they have never been taught to be authentic with themselves. They've never been taught to express themselves really truthfully.
Yes.
And it gets even worse when it comes to cultural, like the various cultures that exist, Asians, Black. I know both of our cultures exist in pride and stubbornness
Yep.
and not bringing shame upon the family to be different. And I really do hope that with our generation, we're starting now to work towards living a life that is just being your authentic self.
Yeah.
Because I find there's so much happiness. When I see my friends that have come out, they're just so much happier because they've had to accept who they are, and now they don't give a fuck to the rest of
Yeah.
society, right? Like they were like, you know what? I've had to live with this burden my whole life. I've come out. I'm gonna be this, and if you don't like it, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I hope that that's the kind of where we start pushing people to be, and then we have kids, or we're around people that have kids, and we're teaching them those things, that we can start kind of mending that, so we don't have experiences like you growing up feeling like you didn't have a safe space with your family to just be yourself, because that's all that we really want to be, is just be comfortable to be ourselves among the people that we trust and love.
I feel like the bridge to that, to having a welcoming space and parents being vocal, the mental health aspect and bettering that, because mental health is still like like the boogeyman that we still talk about.
You're not allowed to go to therapy.
And especially like you're deemed a crazy person.
Yeah.
But like if I have childhood trauma, or there are things that are going on with me right now that's happening in my own family, and then I'm asking my family to like fix this, but they don't know how to.
Yeah.
Who am I going to turn to? Mental health has really helped me a lot in like accepting myself.
Have you gone to therapy?
Yep.
Okay.
Girl, I'm still going.
Oh, I love therapy.
Therapy has made me feel more confident in myself and a little bit more outgoing, because I was never like this outgoing ever.
No?
Could you imagine seeing
Shemar,
me?
that's crazy.
No, like trust me,
Okay.
I was social, but I'm still an introvert, and like I feel drained after every conversation I have. Like I'm like, just cut it all off.
Yeah.
I need my 8 hours of sleep or something.
Yeah.
But like mental health has really like helped me like communicate and socialize with other people, and also catching myself in why I don't do things. Like I remember back in the day when I was like, I don't want to celebrate birthdays. I hate doing birthdays and whatever. And then talking to my therapist, she's like, oh, you don't celebrate your birthday because of this scene like in your childhood. You need to like put yourself as the main character. Like you're putting yourself as a side. You feel like you're not important. Like celebrate your birthday. Celebrate with the people that you want.
Yeah.
My fear was like not having anyone show up to my birthday because I invited them and they never wanted to come.
Yeah.
I was like, like that's why I was like, I don't want to celebrate my birthday.
Oh no, that's so sad.
But she was like, go for it. When people like the people that like matter don't mind.
Yeah.
They will take the time out of their day to come and like
Yeah, they'll
support
show
you.
up.
Yeah. And then I had my birthday and we had just had a nice dinner, and I was like, wow, this is actually refreshing. Like I didn't think,
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna go down like hell, but
Our brains are our worst enemy. It's so crazy.
right. I just feel like if if the Black community, especially Jamaicans in my family, were able to share their emotions, maybe we wouldn't be as repressive when
I
it comes to
agree.
relationships or being honest. When
Mm-hmm.
I talk to my dad about why I don't like him and whatnot, it all stemmed down from honesty and neglect for sure. But I was like, had you not been more honest with me or what you actually wanted, do you think we'd be in this position right now?
Yeah.
To the point where I don't want to talk to you anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, honestly, yeah. I was like, okay. And this is where our relationship is going. Nowhere.
Yeah.
Mental health, like my mom as an ICU nurse, she's seen it all, done it all. And then like tying that into the pandemic and not getting enough funds when they were saying like, oh,
Right.
we're gonna be paying the nurses out more, when they were actually just hoarding the money that they've been given and then just reinvesting it and
Oh,
whatnot.
geez.
This is why it took so long for them to redistribute it.
Oh, God.
Horrible.
Yeah.
But I was like, like what's going on with like, whatever's going on with you, like, did you need more? I was talking to her about it. I was like, maybe think like, more mental health issues, like maybe more mental health, like with nurses would be better. They're like, she's like, yeah, but money is also great too. But I feel like she just, even in that response, I was like, you're really glossing over the fact that mental health is very important. Like money is important. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. Bills need to get paid.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're not taking time to invest in yourself when it comes to your own mental health, like everything else will fall apart.
Yeah, it's a hard life for immigrants because they came here and they were just go 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 mode. Like they were in survival mode. I have to make money. I have to
Work
support my
hard.
kid. I have to afford to live in this country. Then I have to send money back home.
Yep.
That they never even focusing on mental health was not even a thing. Like they
A
couldn't
luxury.
even. Yeah. And then you were deemed crazy for it. Right? I'm not going to talk to a quack that's going to tell me that I need to talk about my feelings. Yeah, maybe that's exactly what you need to do.
You know?
Yeah, you spent $100, $150 on a therapy session, but if you actually listen, it's there. It's there. And then you learn that you don't need to depend on anyone.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're your own self-sufficient person that can make good, sound judgments and decisions. And that's all you really need to worry about at the end of the day.
Imagine repeating the same old toxic behavior in yourself or
Yeah.
like placing it onto others when that could have just been resolved with going to therapy and just stopping it and not feeling miserable or tired or drained all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
You worry too much about everyone else instead of yourself.
and then also worrying about yourself too much that you're not seeing what's going on around you, that like you're so self-absorbed in everything that you don't realize that your relationship with your son is estranged, or your relationship
Yeah.
with your daughter, she couldn't care less to like be around you.
Yeah, and I think it's really telling of how bad you'll let it go when you are willing to not talk to your
Anyone.
child or your sibling or your parent, or like just in general. Like it's sad.
Yeah, like this whole like, oh, you have to be strong and like, be like have everything put together. You really put yourself in a box to not get the help that you need.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going through when I was trying to figure out my sexuality and just like everything like on top of that. Mm-hmm. And it didn't help.
Yeah,
So,
but now you're here.
yeah.
And you're just such a lovely, lovely person. I'm so happy
Thank
that
you.
we're friends.
Me too.
I know.
Girl, me too. You can catch me at my Instagram handle, badtiming_.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming and talking to me about all this. It takes a lot to talk about like mental health and yourself.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no, I appreciate
and all
it so
my
much.
gibberishness and all.
Love it.
I just love how sensual my voice sounds on here.
I know. You get real up in there. You're like, oh, yeah.
Red leather, yellow leather.
Shemar, on that note, we're going to go eat some pizza and I'm just going to like sink in the sensualness of your voice. I would like to thank you for tuning in today. Download, leave a review, follow, and share this episode and the podcast with your friends, family, really whomever you like. You can find me on Just Curiosity Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and you can email me at justcuriositypod@gmail.com, as I would absolutely love to know your thoughts, insights, comments, and all those juicy stories.
But most of all, stay curious, friends. I'm Shelly D, and this has been Just Out of Curiosity.